Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The Premier is promising to secure up to 3,000 regional jobs with changes to trade waste as the road to the election rolls on. But major party leaders are under pressure to rescue Tasmania's budget from a debt spiral as a top economist calls for tough decisions to be made.
Just over a fortnight on the election campaign conveyor belt, the potato farming Premier today in familiar territory, touring a spud processing factory, vowing to ease pressures food producers like Simplot face from trade waste rules imposed by Taswater.
If you're spending $50 million on water treatment, that's quite a process and a project to roll out.
Jeremy Rockcliffe says tweaking regulations will secure 3,000 regional jobs.
We cut red tape to essentially ensure that industry can meet those strict environmental guidelines and therefore protecting their workforce.
Tending to one mess as another looms large. Yesterday's Treasury figures showing debt rising by $3 billion more than forecast in the next 3 years.
It makes it clear that corrective action is required to put Tasmania's finances on a sustainable footing.
The top economist says that can be done by increasing or adding new taxes, cutting infrastructure spending or public asset sales. No direct commitment from Liberal nor Labor.
Our budget was a budget with a sensible pathway to surplus and manageable debt.
We outlined $500 million worth of savings and we'll outline more savings during this campaign.
The Greens pushing both to step up.
The Liberals have pretended it's all fine and there's nothing to see here. The Labor Party have been complaining about debt for a long time, but they've made no meaningful suggestions.
While the opposition's digging in to fill a gap in before and after school care centres, pledging $20 million over 2 years to build and upgrade 20 of them.
After school care is what unlocks participation in the workforce. It helps with cost of living because families can work for longer and it helps prepare young people.
Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
Hospitality heavyweights have thrown their support behind the Macquarie Point Stadium as hearings continue into the proposal. Hobart business owners say the project will mean an influx of cash, while one submission is claiming a new stadium will have no net economic benefit.
For Angelo Ferraccio, footy fans mean big business and not just for his restaurant.
They come to Hobart, they go to Port Arthur, they go to Salamanca Market, they get in their car, they drive up to Launceston, then they fly out of Launceston.
He's one of 60 Tasmanian business leaders who've signed an open letter backing the stadium. The group frustrated at a process which they say is dragging on.
It was so close to it being approved and, it's all gone into this uncertainty now.
They're calling for the state's politicians to back enabling legislation due to be introduced in Parliament next month.
In Tasmania, we really have to create our own opportunities, and I think that this is a fantastic for Tasmania.
That bill would allow the stadium to bypass the project of state significance process, which is currently ongoing. The Planning Commission today hearing from a range of stakeholders, including a local analyst who's done a deep dive on decades of research into the economic impacts of stadiums, including major developments in cities like Chicago in the US.
Essentially, what they all point to is that new stadiums and sporting teams do not result in any discernible increase in net ongoing economic benefits or permanent jobs.
High stakes for a $950 million project. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
A man is in custody tonight following a dramatic arrest in Launceston CBD. Police barricaded an alleyway in the Quadrant Mall to bring down the man around lunchtime. He's accused of threatening a bus driver with what appeared to be a firearm. An imitation firearm and stolen cash was found at the scene and seized. Anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers. Tasmanian Independent Craig Garland has pleaded guilty to drug driving, the charge stemming from a roadside drug test late last year. At the time, the now incumbent for Braddon told 7 Tasmania News he'd suffered chronic pain from a leg injury and was open with the community about his cannabis use for health reasons. He returned to court in September for sentencing. Heartless thieves have targeted a war memorial in Hobart, stealing 19 plaques honouring some of Tasmania's fallen soldiers. Authorities say they'll leave no stone unturned in an attempt to find the culprits.
A place of significance in Hobart, honouring Tasmanian troops who never made it home, now desecrated.
The impact of these memorial plaques being stolen is really, really significant.
19 brass plaques ripped from their stone plinths, allegedly forcibly removed from the Queen's Domain commemoration site. The discovery made during routine maintenance yesterday.
Absolutely appalled that this has occurred.
More than 2 decades has gone into restoring the important piece of wartime heritage, paying tribute to those who fought their country in World War I.
We have worked so hard. We've had a dedicated group of people. We've had so many families that have been involved with dedications over the years.
It's an act of vandalism many are labelling as a cruel blow.
It's pretty gutted. Honestly, they're scumbags. They really are. To think that they can get away with this.
Some people, unfortunately, take advantage of these semi-precious metals being in public spaces, and they will take them with a view to selling them.
In terms of their value, if you take them for scrap, I've been told they're probably worth less than $10.
While the plaques hold little monetary value, community leaders say they're priceless.
These are really important places. These represent not only the service of someone who died, but also the love of a family that lost someone.
Police are continuing to investigate the incident and are calling on anyone with information to come forward.
We're hopeful that someone out there knows something about where these plaques are or who may be responsible.
Rebecca Gaidaneris at 7 Tasmania News.
A horrifying video capturing 2 women brawling in Hobart's northern suburbs has put crime back in the spotlight. Fed up locals are calling for a boost to community safety, while political heavyweights pitch their commitments to crack down on the issue.
A busy shopping precinct becoming a bloody ordeal in broad daylight. 2 women believed to be sisters brawling in Glenorchy on Monday. Punches and kicks exchanged.
Pretty disgusting, really.
The area a centre for callous crime as of late. Not long ago it was a gang of youths swarming Big W, causing chaos.
Yeah, the teenagers are out of control. But yeah, it doesn't help with the adults also getting in here and fighting.
Monday's violent fight sparking more calls for action. Independent MP Beck Thomas demanding the Liberals and Labor to commit to evidence-based plans for tackling crime ahead of the upcoming state election.
It's time the major parties wake up and listen and hear the concerns of people who live and work in the Glenorchy area and commit to action.
Both parties pumping up their pitching promises.
New laws to ensure that police have the powers that they need to search for knives in our public places. Increase in penalties for people who are hooning on our streets or who assault people in our public places. Those are the kind of actions that our government will take.
While Labor promises it will enforce banning knife sales to anyone under 18 and boost police patrols in hotspots.
And make sure that people who commit crimes or offences or cause disturbances within retail areas can no longer return.
But some say there is an urgent need for early prevention programs.
And find a balanced approach that keeps the community safe whilst at the same time supports a justice system that supports rehabilitation.
Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, Spirit of Tasmania 5 is now officially ours after a naming ceremony overnight, marking the official handover to TT Line and the finalisation of the biggest ever trade deal between Finland and Australia. Both ships will arrive in Hobart by the end of the year. But the government still hasn't decided exactly where they will be stored until the new berth is ready in Devonport. The police are preparing to farewell one of their own. The funeral for fallen officer Constable Keith Smith will be held in Devonport's Paranapple Centre tomorrow afternoon. The service isn't open to the public, but a guard of honour will run along Victoria Parade afterwards for those who'd like to pay their respects. As housing supply reaches crisis point, more and more Tasmanians are being priced out of the rental market. New data shows many households can't afford a single property. Even those on medium to high incomes struggle to find a vacant home to move into.
Too many Tasmanians know the struggle of keeping a roof over their heads, but a refreshed housing dashboard is putting it in black and white, plotting the rapidly growing social housing waitlist and rapidly worsening affordability for a private rental.
If you're living on a government benefit like JobSeeker, there are 0% of properties in the private rental market that would be affordable for you.
Almost 4,000 Tasmanians are either homeless or temporarily housed.
At every point along that pathway to secure housing, Tasmania's got a shortage.
Driving the price surge is the lack of availability, with vacancy rates of 1.2% in Hobart and just 0.7% in Burnie, well shy of the 3% target.
We've got more and more people competing for fewer and fewer houses in that private rental market. And when that happens, prices go up.
Meanwhile, hundreds of potential units sit empty around the state in the form of vacant space above shops, the Liberal Party promising to unlock them with a change of planning and building regulations.
For many years, many of these places have sat idle because there are too many rules that restrict people from being able to refurbish them.
Making it more attractive for building owners to renovate and offer them up as homes.
Anything that can help us open up this space that's just sitting there is very welcomed.
With added benefits for CBDs like Devonport.
So this is an opportunity to get a really good mix of people back into the CBD and making a more vibrant space.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmanian News.
A Hillwood man has discovered a life-changing lotto win thanks to listening to his wife's advice. The grandfather was sitting on a $2.2 million windfall from Saturday's Tats Lotto draw, but until Monday didn't realise it. That was until his partner stepped in, suggesting he check the ticket he'd purchased from the Mowbray News Express. It was one of 2 Division 1 entries sold from the store. Well, as the Devils AFL entry draws closer, if it's to fill out the off-field team ramp up, a fast-growing leadership academy is expanding, giving more young minds the chance to shape the future of the state's leading sports codes.
6 months ago, a shot at a dream sports career meant uprooting to the mainland. Now it's a reality on home soil.
Very good opportunity for me. I was actually planning to move interstate to pursue my dreams in a sporting role off the field.
After a successful launch in Hobart, the Tasmania Academy of Leadership and Sport is heading north.
It's unlike a typical campus-based education experience. Our students are immersed inside the 4 walls of an elite sports environment.
The cross-code collaboration doubles as an off-field talent pathway, lifting the lid on roles beyond the ground.
The full scope of what professional sport can offer. It's not just about the coaches and players that run out onto the field. There's a heap of activity behind the scenes.
And that goes from events, marketing, operations, allied health, corporate services, the list goes on.
Readying future Devils, Canes, Jackies and netball staff for what's to come.
The success stories that drive us and fill our cup to know that we're building a successful future for Tasmania.
A golden opportunity now within an arm's reach.
Yeah, I've always grown up playing sports, so it's always been something I wanted to go down.
I was looking at overseas options like in Melbourne, for example, but now that this is available I can just stay home.
Victoria East 07 Tasmania News.
Well, it could be a minor premiership defining clash in the NTFAW on Saturday. First place Launceston host Deloraine hot on their tails in second. And after a nail-biting draw at the last meeting, it's anyone's game.
I think if it's anything last time, it'll definitely be a tight contest. It'll just depends on what team brings it, I guess, on the day.
Even though it's a very different affair in the men's, the Blues aren't ruling out the Roos, knowing the battle will go right to the final siren.
From the first game, we sort of battled a little bit, especially in the first half. It was a very windy day for both sides, but they definitely showed glimpses, so we're not going to take them too lightly.
The Blues play host at Windsor Park on Saturday. Norman Derby clean sweep. Here's the Cavaliers to claim when they meet rivals the Hawks for the 3rd time this season tomorrow. Undefeated so far, the Cavs go into the clash as favourites, but after close finishes in previous matchups, they know there's a huge target on their backs.
Always been a highly competitive game out of finals. It does put the target on the back, but I think we've been building.
Outside of finals, it's the biggest game. We certainly look forward to it. Being able to play the 3 rounds this year as well, getting the 3 cracks against them is fantastic for us. Both
lineups are bolstered by players returning from wild duties. The Jackies have found their replacement for Milton Doyle. Former G League guard Bryce Hamilton sees his switch to the NBL as an opportunity to prove himself.
Definitely one of the best leagues in the world. A lot of talented players go into that league and, make a huge jump. And, I'm ready to go there and compete and, show that I'm able to play in that league.
The 24-year-old from California completes the Jackies 13-man roster with his one-season deal. And after lifting like a Seljack Cup, South Hobart will begin their campaign at home to try and do the same with the Australia Cup. At the round of 32 draw last night, it was Victorian NPL side South Melbourne pulled from the bowl. South sees more than a home crowd advantage at play.
I think Tassie's a hard place to come. It's freezing. It's difficult. Not many people know about what it's like, so we're excited and we think we can get the points. We've got an ex-player that plays for South Melbourne, Andy Brennan, who we're excited to have back down in Tassie. So yeah, it's going to be a good game.
The schedule is yet to be locked in, but the games will all take place during the last 2 weeks of July. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a good crowd there for that one, Kim.
And some good action. Thank you, Nick. Well, Peter Murphy will join us after the break with the weather forecast.
Good evening. Hobart, Launceston and Burnie all 13 today. Devonport a high of 12. Overnight temperatures up to 5 below average. Today tops within a degree or two. Fairly consistent low temperatures around the state. King Island the warmest with 14. Lyawini -3 overnight to a high of 3 degrees. Low cloud pushed over the west and south, a little through Bass Strait. Best rainfall to 4 p.m. was 17 millimetres at Mount Reid. A band of cloud is with a weak front to the south of Western Australia. Low cloud over much of southeast Australia. Just some high cloud too evident over Cape York. The high centres over South Australia tomorrow, extending a ridge to our west ahead of the next cold front. The winds tending west-northwesterly over all coastal waters tomorrow at 10 to 20 knots, but will move up to around 25 knots over southern waters. Straight to the forecast, sunny in Hobart, 14 tomorrow. A morning frost for Huonville, partly cloudy in 14 as well. 14 the top for Campania, a cool start. -1 for Launceston, a morning frost. 13 the top, 13 the top for Devonport. Sunny in Georgetown and 13 as well. Burnie tomorrow expecting 15 and partly cloudy. 13 for Strawn with a shower or two. 1 overnight for Wynyard, 15 the maximum. And for the East Coast, St Helens sunny and 14, 15 the top for Swansea. A sunny day for Port Arthur, 7 overnight, 13 the maximum. On Saturday, sunny over the east as a few showers move over the west, extending to the north during the day. Showers extending statewide for a period on Sunday before easing and contracting to the west. And on Monday, fine apart from light showers over Bass Strait and the west coast. Sunny weather for Perth, a cloudy day tomorrow in Adelaide and Melbourne, fine and partly cloudy weather for Sydney and Brisbane. Clear in Hobart at the moment after a pretty good day, 9 degrees, 6 in Launceston, Devonport clear and 8 degrees. Glad I'm back over here, Kim. I didn't realise how hard your job really was.
I've been telling you for years. See you tomorrow, Lewis. And that is all we have time for tonight. On behalf of the team, thanks for joining us. Good night, everyone.